What is up, guys? It's KaijuZilla621 and welcome to the behind the scenes of Godzilla vs. Gamora. So, Godzilla vs. Gamora is part of the Kaiju Century War series. If you have no idea what that is and you find it cringy, well, it is a movie series I've been doing for about 2 years now. This single saga really begins with Godzilla vs. Anguirus. After that, Godzilla vs. Jiger came, Attack of Jiger. And then here is the third installment of the Showa series. I am making a Showa series, about 3 more additions to it, and then it has been over. So let's just start with the timeline and setting of this movie. This movie takes place in 1963 in Tokyo, Japan, and other places around Tokyo, and Japan, Mount Fuji, all those cool places. Well, this movie is during the winter time. I want to do a new change, something people have really never seen before in Godzilla movies, which is snow. Which Godzilla movie is there really snow? And it looks pretty cool how it came out. Something very original. You definitely have a different atmosphere and feeling when you watch this. You don't have the same exact colorization. And what I mean by colorization, that's a term I use to describe how movies look. For example, The Revenant. You see how it's kind of really dark, and I don't mean the tone, I mean the colorization of the scenes. It's all blue and gray, kind of darkerish color. I try to do that here too, so it's darker blue. I didn't add the gray in it at all, but yeah, that's how it looks. I try to make the snow really pop out, the water effects and everything from the snow, the shine. I really added contrast and brightness to all the scenes, so they are not how the original file look. So that's something new I'm starting to do with the movie. So yeah, I wasn't really inspired by anything. The reason I really did it is, first of all, because that's one of the battles really everyone wants. Godzilla vs. Gamora. That's like saying Godzilla vs. Gamera, only in the Ultraman series. So I try to do it here. But yeah, everything else I really came up with my own scenes. I really based it off of many movies of the Godzilla series, but really a lot of them are also from my own head. So talking about the characters, Eric, Jeff. So these are the two that came out in the previous movie, Godzilla Attack of Jiger. Eric is a lieutenant, I think it is, from what I remember, because I really don't really look at before the other projects of what he actually played as, but he is a soldier, a lieutenant. Jeff, his friend, a military soldier, just hangs around with him really everywhere he goes, help him out with driving and stuff. But yeah, he really had his friend before. This will include spoilers from the previous movie, so be ready. In the previous movie, Godzilla Attack of Jiger, his friend named Michael, he's been friends with him for 20 years. He died by Jiger itself, by being crushed and blew up. And then his funeral takes place in this movie. I try to make it, just add some more dramatic scenes in this movie. But I really got to change it later to make it more goofy, because that's how the Showa series were. So yeah, the characters, they are the same ones from the last movie. Previous movie took place in 1957, so you're looking at about 6 years later in this movie. Godzilla, and if you remember in the last movie, he's been buried by the mines they put on the ground, the soldiers at the beach. So Godzilla is buried. So yeah, actually starting with the first scene, which is a train scene, which is honestly, this is my favorite scene. You just feel many different things when you watch this. I don't know why, but it just really was. These sets, some of the camera angle shots, the exact shots, were actually inspired by something similar to this.
They were going well. The light grew better. Signal lights shone green as they passed.
Yeah, as you saw there, that was one of the episodes from Thomas. It's called A Flying Kipper. One day it was recommended to me around October, and I'm like, hey, why don't I just use this? Because those were miniature sets back then. Man, I'm pretty impressed how good they were back then, so I try to take that same style. As you see, this shot right here, I really kind of ripped it off with my own take on it, but really, these sets were pretty good, so it was a good starting point of how to start doing these sets and how they will look in with different shots and camera angles. So the train scene, I got that little train from this I think Family Dollar store. Really not much. I really don't pay much for these movies. The real thing, one of the things I buy a lot is flour. That's what I use for the snow. Flour is a big part of this movie, and honestly, it's probably the worst thing to work with, guys. It gets all mushy, moldy, everything is really bad. Moving on to later in the movie, you see shots like this, which I really like. They really more look like modern movies instead of the old ones. But Eric goes, and we have this new character that's introduced in this series called Curtis. He's a Sarge, and he is one of the commanders too. You could say, I guess, the second army commander in this movie, played by Goodyear 5400, Richard Manson, one of my good YouTube friends that I've known him for probably about 2 years, something like that right now. But yeah, they have arguments, then leading up to the awesome snow rink scene. I introduced a new Kaiju Defense Force, kind of like G-Force, but this is for the Showa series only. I love making these sets like right here. This is one of my favorites. Those little trees, I just got these little twigs. What I do, all that is really close to each other. It's not really vast. I just make them smaller and smaller as they go more behind and the more inches it takes. So yeah, I use the same figures from the last movies, which honestly I recommend doing that too. Just don't, if you want to, yeah, you could get new characters, but I just get the same ones. Then King Caesar appears. I hope this is a big surprise for all of you. Yeah, he does appear in this movie. He comes out. I didn't play the song, you know, I just find that song really annoying. I don't want to ruin the movie with that. Try to make this movie a bit more serious. King Caesar attacks a snow rink, which I want to make that was completely a new idea I made. He just breaks the wires and everything. Those buildings right there, these like little toy houses, you know. I got them at Walmart. They were doing this Christmas sale where they were selling these ornaments, ceramic ornaments. You know, the ones you put on your cabinets on top when Christmas is around. I bought them, and they actually look really good for these movies. So if I recommend sometime in the next Christmas, just go to Walmart or something. And I think around the Christmas time is when they actually sell the best miniatures, probably, because that's where I got all the trees. All the trees, I got them at Michael's. A lot of stuff I get at Michael's, but right now they might not be selling them, but there are still a lot of miniatures at Michael's. They just cost a bit too much. So yeah, then there's a good army scene here where all the people are talking. That's because they're talking about what they're gonna do. That they found pictures of Gamora, and this is basically a redux scene from Godzilla Attack of Jiger when it started, when they kick Eric out of the army.
Leave now, and don't come back until you stop talking about this stupidity.
This is kind of the same approach I took, and that's what it led to, that they almost kick him off, and it really looked the same, how he just walked away very awkwardly. Then here comes probably one of the best scenes, the Christmas scene. This is really the scene that really sparked in my mind to make this movie. You know, when you're thinking about just movie scenes and then you're like, oh, maybe I can make a movie on these two monsters around maybe adding that scene. This is one of the scenes I really started with my mind with. I really liked doing this one. All these shots I took are really like how I really wanted them to come out. So it did come out like that. Yeah, Godzilla attacks. I got this gigantic tree. Not really that big. It's about 12 inches, 14 inches. And I try to, that scene where it falls down, I got inspired by the Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla tower that fell down. So yeah, that's where I got it from. The set from that scene is probably the best one in my opinion. The army commander, which is introduced more in this part 2, is played by Eric Lupo, another good friend of mine who's really good with these lines. If you guys ever do a movie, better ask him. He does great lines. But yeah, the military trucks start coming. The main theme of this movie is Better Off Alone violin remix. I'll put in the link below. This music is really good. I used it about 4 times in this movie. I don't care if I don't get paid for these movies. I really just care about the effort and just so you guys can enjoy these. That's the theme of the main movie. It doesn't really sound show up, but I just really like that theme. It's a remix of Better Off Alone, an old like dubstep, really cool song. I still like the original one better. But yeah. Godzilla and Gamora meet their first encounter at a valley. I think it's a Kiso Valley. Yeah, it is. At the sunset. It's really good. I love doing this battle. I really didn't plan this battle. It just got kicked on the script. So yeah, this wasn't really one of the planned ones. So yeah, just when they're talking, the military people in that tent, I really try to be inspired by that. Try to make it like that. They didn't come out the best scene as I want to because of the lights, but it came out all right. Now this scene right here, when Gamora attacks the car, I accidentally just skipped the part with the Maser tanks. Typical military scene. I could just probably skip it, but yeah, really good set there. But yeah, right here, this explosion right here, one of my favorite explosions on all my movies. If you slow that thing down, it looks really good. You can get some nice pictures with it. But yeah, I use a lot of explosives in this movie. There's about 7-8 explosions in this movie, and you guys may think that's not a lot, but when you see them, they're pretty good. Now this scene right here, when Gamora just jumps and mugs these Eric and Jeff, I really like making this scene. This is one of the scenes I was also inspired to make as. I really like doing this. Like Jeff just busts open the glass, and I forgot to mention he's played by Metlo Kaiju. I'm not gonna say his full name because I don't think he wants me to. But yeah, Gamora attacks. I like doing a lot of fires. The main theme plays again. This is one of my favorite sets, honestly, for the whole film. It just really looks good. Moving on to part 3. Now you get the nice scene. Okay, now this shot right here. This is one of the scenes I just thought when I was just thinking about this movie for the first time. I just imagine this nice 5 a.m. morning scene. You wake up maybe for school. It's all dark. And you just see those nice forest trees and the snow, and like this. I just really like thinking, and I just have a lot of vision for these movies, especially this one. This is probably the most I like very vision how I wanted the scenes. But yeah, the final battle takes place pretty typical. King Caesar hits the lake. I like adding that thing in, that shot right there. I just use a lid and just put some water in it. I recommend you guys never mix water with flour. Honestly, yeah, it's for cooking, but when you want to make a movie, it sucks. You get these rotten things everywhere. But yeah, the battle takes place. I could probably skip that. Just some typical choreography. I didn't really think for the cinematography. I didn't really think much for these kind of final battles. I really think about it more for like the train scene, Christmas scene, and when he mugs them. But yeah, it really ends off with this. Some dramatic. I really wanted to end it off very, very not really that happy. I mean, Gamora didn't die. I didn't want to kill him off immediately because I feel like I really want to use him for more movies. Not for the next one, but you know what? I can't just kill off Gamora. I mean, why would you kill off Gamora? But I think that was a surprise for a lot of people. When he just stands up, kind of like how I just pulled off a Jurassic World Survival, it was kind of expected. I didn't really think much surprise from it. But yeah, all this movie was great. I really ended it off really good. Eric busts open his leg and head. That's really leading up for the next movie, where I can kind of say some of it because I already thinking what I'm gonna do for the script. That Eric is now in the hospital. He's in serious condition. He's like the Rick Grimes in this Showa series. So you'll be seeing him a lot more. So. That's really pretty much it for this behind the scenes. You guys can ask me any questions. I might make a part 2 to this. This part was really explaining just about the movie. Next part, I can really go in depth, explain the exact materials I use, just to help you guys, because I'm that awesome. And also I'll show the real behind the scenes, like the other stuff for the next movie. For the part 2 of this behind the scenes. So that's pretty much it for this video. Part 2 will be I'll be doing it tomorrow probably. This is KaijuZilla 621 signing out.